Right friends, welcome back to the topic with regard to English comprehension, and this is session 2. We discussed yesterday some editorial, and today we announced today's discussion will be on the Economic Times editorial of 9th January, that is when growth turns anemic, and tomorrow we are going to discuss on democracy, diversity and development. This is today's Times of India article. So, this will be discussed tomorrow. Basically, I told you yesterday, this is with regard to how to understand English passage, how to follow English passage. I will try to take most of the passages related to economy, and it will improve your word power. First month I will take economy passages, subsequently they will be expanded to other areas also, right. So, today we are going to deliberate on this, when growth turns anemic. What is the meaning of anemic? When there is iron deficiency, this is the total article of Economic Times. And what is the meaning of anemic? Anemic means this is deficiency in our body, basically iron deficiency, because of which red blood cells will be reduced. So, he compared growth with anemic. That means when growth turns anemic, it is not up to the mark, it is not satisfactory, it is bogged down by certain ills. That is the meaning of this. So, when a person becomes anemic means he will become pale. Similarly, growth also became anemic. So, then stepped up public investment is the key. This is the suggestion finally he is giving. Stepped up public investment. When you look at gross domestic product, yesterday we discussed about gross domestic product has got basically 4 components, and India is doing well because of only 2 components. One is consumption, second one is public investment. These 2 are doing well, but 2 aspects which are not doing well are private sector investment, then the exports front, net exports. So, these 2 are not doing well, and in this editorial the editorial suggests that, the newspaper suggests that the only way to improve or to propel growth is a stepping up of investment, that is public investment. Investment can be of 2 types, public investment, private investment. If some private company is establishing with huge investment, that is private investment. If Government of India is doing some expressway, some infrastructure project, that is public investment. So, public investment stepping up is the only key. Here the word stepped up. So, this stepping up, what is the meaning of it? Before learning it, I would like to put you with 3 words starting with the step. Step down. All of you are familiar with Dhoni. Dhoni is stepping down as the captain of T20. So, stepping down means resigning from some top post. So, resigning from some top post, we use the word step down. Dhoni stepped down. Step in. Vladimir Putin stepped in Syria crisis. Vladimir Putin stepped in Syria crisis, which ultimately tilted the scales in favor of the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad. So, step down, step in, other one is a step up. Step up investments, increase investments. So, stepping up means increasing in stages. So, stepping up investments, the 2 public investments is the key for growth. And if you come back to the passage, this Central Statistics Office, CSO, this releases the figures of GDP or the forecast of GDP. CSO figures, CSO says that the rate of growth, that is GDP, in the current financial year is likely to dip to 7.1%, likely to reduce to 7.1% from the 7.6% registered last fiscal. So, the growth is going to be dipped to 7.1 from 7.6, which was recorded last fiscal. Then continue, even without taking into account the impact of demonetization, and without taking into effect the impact of demonetization, the growth is projections is 7.1%, right, even without. That means without even considering the impact of demonetization, because demonetization occurred on the date of November 8th, but these figures pertaining to the first 7 months, based on the first 7 months performance up to October, CSO released the figures, CSO released the forecast. So, CSO's forecast does not take into account the impact of demonetization that commenced 1 month into the third quarter. So, in the financial jargon, first quarter is April to June, second quarter is July to September, third quarter is October to December, fourth quarter is January to March. So, we are into the fourth quarter of financial year 2016-17. Financial year starts from April 1 and ends on March 31, right. And it means two things. Overall, it means two things, because after considering the demonetization also into account, growth is likely to dip, likely to reduce below 7%, and do not just blame demonetization for it. Growth is going to dip below 7%, and do not just blame demonetization. Do not blame demonetization. There are other reasons to it. That is the contextual meaning of do not blame just demonetization. If you look at the next one, in each of the current fiscal's first 2 quarters, as I have already told you, quarter means. So, in each of the current fiscal's first 2 quarters, the growth rate turned out to be lower than the growth rate in the corresponding quarter of the previous year. When you compare it with last year or previous year, the growth rate turned out to be, during the first 2 quarters, the growth rate turned out to be lower. And when Prime Minister is visiting some place, suppose let us assume Prime Minister is visiting some Agra, Mathura or Nagpur, and if the turnout is not expected, then the meeting of the much publicized public meeting of the Prime Minister turned out to be a damp squib. If there is a huge crowd at the Prime Minister's meeting, then the meeting turned out to be a vast crowd, or you can say the meeting attracted vast crowds and it turned out to be a successful affair. So, like that you have to use this turned out to be. Turned out means the final result, right. Part of the blame might be purely statistical. Some of the issues pertaining to purely statistical, because of the change in some statistical calculations, this occurred. Part of the blame might be purely statistical. The global dip in commodity prices had flattened the wholesale price index. Globally, commodity prices reduced. Global commodity prices reduced. So, the global dip in commodity prices had flattened the wholesale price index. Last year, wholesale price index flattened. Flattened means it came to normal level, then it is not increasing. So, it is not allowed to increase. That is the meaning of flattening. So, in the economic jargon, contextual meaning here is wholesale price index had not increased and it remained flattened. So, it was not increased. So, that is the meaning of a flattening. Then even as the consumer price index remained buoyant. What is the meaning of buoyant? Buoyant, normal sense is happy man, successful man. What one example I will tell you? If you got some good job, Raju appears to be buoyant after his selection to civil services examination. His family got elated. Raju appears to be buoyant after his selection to interview in IBPS PO. So, buoyant means it indicates a happier moment, at the same time it indicates a successful moment. And here consumer price index remained buoyant. Buoyant means it remained at higher elevated levels. This is the meaning in economy. You should read the meanings properly in the right context. Here, two things he compared. First one is global dip in commodity prices had flattened the wholesale price index. even as the consumer price index remained buoyant. So, consumer price index remained buoyant, remained higher, but wholesale price index is flattened. That is why he used this even as, right. So, both are giving little bit of opposite sense. That is why he used even as. So, the global dip in commodity prices had flattened the wholesale price index even as the consumer price index remained buoyant. So, there is quite a contrast situation, you can say, quite opposite situation. One is flattened, other one is buoyant. That is why he used even as, right. The next one, some argued that the use of the different price indices, some argued use of different price indices to deflate input and output prices, to deflate, the meaning is to weaken it. If we use the word deflate, so different price indices are used to deflate input, and some argued that the use of different price indices used to deflate input and output prices resulted in artificial exaggeration of the value added and thus of the growth rate. Some jugglery was done in this input and output prices, some jugglery was done. So, then it resulted in artificial exaggeration. The artificial exaggeration, means it is not real, right. Exaggeration means it is not real, and something which is not real is exaggerated. So, it led to artificial exaggeration of the value added and thus of the growth rate. So, because of different price indices taken in input and output prices, that resulted in artificially exaggerating the value added. That means gross value added is increased, subsequently growth rate increased. The two indices are better aligned this fiscal, squeezing of the growth rate. What is meant by squeezing of the growth rate? This year the two indices, the indices which he is talking about is CPI, WPI. The two indices are better aligned this fiscal, better alignment. That means they are better aligned. They are not, one is not varying or one is not at variance with the other. They are better aligned, and this squeezes out the statistical element of the growth rate. What is the meaning of squeezing out? Squeezing out means, I will give one example. Because of the advent of PepsiCo as well as Coca-Cola, domestic companies were squeezed out. They ran out of business. So, this is the meaning of squeezing out. So, previously the exaggeration or the advantage or the elevation of growth rates was squeezed out because of alignment of WPI and CPI now. So, that advantage of exaggerating the things is now squeezed out, that is one reason. So, squeezing out, you can easily understand from this picture, entry of Coca-Cola, Pepsi squeezed out domestic companies. That means they cannot function profitably. Multinational companies came and local companies doomed out or squeezed out. So, they cannot run business with profit. So, that is the context in economy with regard to squeezing out. So, here in the context, squeezed out means here because of the alignment of both this WPI and CPI, this is squeezed out. The advantage or exaggeration is squeezed out, but it does not guarantee, though it is squeezed out, but means he is contradicting what he told. That means in the previous sentence, the two indices are better aligned. That is why this statistical element is squeezed out, but means he is indicating something contrary to what he has stated previous statement. In the previous statement, whatever he has stated, he is stating something contrary to this. That is why he used but. It does not guarantee that would be no surreal element in the growth rate this fiscal either. This year also, there is no guarantee that there will not be exaggeration. So, there is no guarantee, it does not guarantee that there would be no surreal element. What is the meaning of surreal? Surreal means not real, it is only into the dreams. That element is called a surreal element. So, though the WPI, CPI are better aligned to squeeze out that exaggeration, but this year also there will be some surreal element. That means the growth will not be real. There is no guarantee that there would be no surreal element. The meaning is this year also the growth will not be real. Let us come to the next one. Next sentence is demonetization persuaded many unlisted companies. Several unlisted companies means the companies which are not listed in the stock exchanges. When the companies are listed in the stock exchanges, the possibility of a concealed income will be less. But when the companies are unlisted, then the possibility of hidden income, parallel economy, concealed income will be there. So, demonetization persuaded many unlisted companies to bring their concealed incomes onto their books, resulted in boosted sales and profits. What happened in the third quarter? Because of demonetization, previously the unlisted companies, the small companies, they used to hide income, they used to conceal illicit wealth. Now that is came to the banks. So, they declared income. Here two words, conceal. Conceal means not revealing the truth. One example is the cinema stars. Can you get the age of a cinema star? Not possible. If you ask the age of an actress, she will not reveal. She will say only date of birth is something like 10th January. She will not say the year of birth. So, that is concealing. This unlisted companies concealed their black wealth, and now because of demonetization, they totally brought it out and shown as sales and profits. That is why it boosted. Boosted means it increased, it boosted sales and profits. Also explaining in part, so this is the reason the boost in tax collections in November. Yesterday, our finance minister stated that there is a boost in tax collections. Here, demonetization persuaded many unlisted companies, their illicit wealth was brought out, their concealed income was brought out. That is why it boosted profits, that is why tax collections increased in November. The CSO, Central Statistics Office, uses financial reporting of companies to estimate value added for a first approximation. This would lead it to register robust growth in Q3 this fiscal. Robust means strong, healthier. Our economy is quite robust. So, in that situation this word is used. Robust means quite healthy person, you can call robust. Economy, if the economy macroeconomic fundamentals are strong, then you can call the economy as robust. Our Indian economy at present is robust. So, this would lead to register robust growth. So, the reason whatever is given here, that is the reason to register robust growth. That means that would lead to. That means in future, in quarter 3 also, the companies will register robust growth. The reason is he has specifically stated here, right. So, the next one is, this is only to say that they will not reveal the age, concealing their age. Then, but the lingering effect of demonetization. What is the meaning of lingering effect? Lingering. Lingering means it is there for some time. The lingering effect. If you have a close friend who is rich, and you have a close friend who is quite rich, but sometime because of your necessity, you asked just 500 rupees. You asked your friend, please give me 500 rupees. Then he told, I do not have money. Then what do you feel? you feel very bad. Not only that, that will linger in your memory for quite some time to come. You will not forget in your life. For the times to come, that will linger in your mind. That means the lingering effect means which is there for quite some time, which will be there for quite some time. So, here, but the lingering effect of demonetization is unlikely to be offset by financial juggling. Financial juggling, this lingering effect that is due to demonetization. This effect on the economy will be there for quite some time. That is why he used the word lingering effect. And the next word is juggling. This juggling is just like circus. Previously what they are doing, some financial jugglery. That word quite commonly we use in financial terms, we use the term jugglery. Juggling means it is nothing but circus. Jugglery means some cooking up the figures, So, here the financial jugglery is not possible. Here the meaning is, but the lingering effect of demonetization in the January-March quarter is unlikely to offset by financial juggling concealed incomes already having been reported in the third quarter. The full meaning of this is the lingering effect, that means January to March quarter the growth is going to be too low because of demonetization, that is not going to be offset, this financial juggling concealed income. That means in quarter 3 the financial income, that is concealed incomes, came to the forefront because of demonetization. That is why economy is looking robust in quarter 3. But the lingering effect of demonetization during the next 3 months are unlikely to be offset by this concealed income. So, the lingering effect of demonetization is going to be quite substantial. It is not going to be offset by this concealed income. So, that is why it will have overall effect on the growth. So, growth may go down below 7%. So, here what he tried to convey is first 2 quarters growth is not satisfactory, and the next issue is last year there was some, with regard to the manipulation, you cannot call it manipulation, but last year there was some advantage because of some statistical calculations. This year that advantage is not there. Third thing is demonetization. Demonetization effect will continue for next 3 months. Though some firms reported good sales and profit during third quarter, because of the reason that concealed income came to the books, and that is not going to offset the lingering effect of demonetization. So, that is the meaning. That means lingering effect of demonetization will prevail in the fourth quarter, and remaining this concealed income, that jugglery, that will not solve the problem, and overall the growth will go down to 7%. So, that is the main crux of this article. So, overall if you club all together, that is likely to leave the combined growth of Q3 and Q4 to be sufficiently below 7%. to drag the overall growth for the year below 7%. So, in quarter 3 there is some positive sign of concealed income. Because of concealed income, growth is quite good. Then quarter 4 the growth is going to be pretty bad because of lingering effect of demonetization, and if you club quarter 3 and quarter 4, so it will go down below 7%, and overall the overall growth will go down below 7%. So, this is the meaning of the first sentence, that is likely to leave the combined growth of Q3 and Q4 to be sufficiently below 7% to drag the overall growth for the year below 7%. Gross fixed capital formation as a proportion of GDP, gross fixed capital formation. This is the investment in fixed assets, very, very important. This economic term is very important, because the gross fixed capital formation indicates that how much investment has gone into the assets. Investment into assets will produce results in the years to come. Basically, for productivity, investment in assets is important. But the unfortunate aspect is in recent times this gross fixed capital formation as percentage of GDP is coming down. As percentage of GDP that is coming down, it is now 26.6%. So, gross fixed capital formation is coming down, it is lower than in any year after 2004-5. So, the biggest worry is gross fixed capital formation as a percentage of GDP has sunk to 26.6%, lower than in any year after 2004-5. So, gross fixed capital formation is one macroeconomic term. It is the percentage of investment which is going into the asset creation. When asset creation is there, that will produce the results during the next 10 years, 20 years. So, that is one important term, but unfortunate part in our economy is that is going down. The key to revival of growth is clearing up bank books. Clearing up bank books, that means bank balance sheets are being cleaned. That is going on. And they are selling assets to asset reconstruction companies, that is also going on. So, that is part of a clearing of the bank books. Then enabling them to lend, enabling banks to lend and stepping up public investment in the meantime. So, these are the suggestions he is giving. The key to revival of growth is clearing up bank books. Bank books to be cleared means banks should be free from gross non-performing assets. Some mechanism is to be devised to make banks free from gross non-performing assets. If they are cleared, then banks will lend easily. So, enabling them to lend and stepping up public investment in the meantime. So, government has to spend more so as to propel growth. What he is suggesting, what the editorial is suggesting is banks should be cleaned of non-performing assets. Banks should lend now onwards. That means when it is free of non-performing assets, then banks should be in a position to lend freely. Then stepping up public investment, government should spend more for construction of highways, expressways, like that public investment should flow. So, this is so regardless of the effects of demonetization. This is required irrespective of whether the effects of demonetization are there or not, that is immaterial, but this is required to be done immediately, right. So, stepping up public investment, that is the key as suggested in the editorial, right. So, we learnt some words here. So, please follow daily so that you will be familiar with several words. In due course of time, words will be repeated, and contextually I am just explaining. After listening to for 3-4 months, probably several words will come to you just like that. So, it will be useful for several examinations, including bank PO, civil services, any examination. Please follow for 3 months. Your English approach to understand English will improve. So, tomorrow we are going to discuss democracy, diversity, development. This is editorial article of the Times of India today, and this will be discussed tomorrow. The part what I have mentioned here, this will be discussed tomorrow. So, please have a nice day and thank you. Thanks a lot.